Well, folks, the time has come and the dream has become reality. And this is the video where I'm going to do the big reveal. This has been probably 5 years in the making of lots of blood, sweat, and tears, and saving pennies and dollars and anything that we can come across to make this dream a reality. So basically what I'm alluding to is the wife and I, we finally purchased a piece of property. And not just any simple property. It's a pretty awesome property from my perspective. And over the next year, and so on, you're going to see, here's what I want to bring to the table for you guys is a lot of times we'll see a off-grid location or a bug out or whatever you want to call it, right? A homestead. This what we're going to build here from the ground up. I'm going to take you on every single step of this process. So let me start off. This is my favorite part about the property. We are surrounded by 619 acres in the middle of the woods. So this is what I mean by I'm bringing new content to the channel. You're gonna see us build what I call a sheddominium. You're gonna see us build water catchment systems. You're gonna see us build solar systems. You're gonna see us build a self-sufficient kind of a garden where we're gonna be doing permaculture and food forest. Things of that nature. You guys know what I'm talking about. And honestly, that's just the beginning. I'm going to take you guys on this journey step by step. I've watched a lot of channels over the years and it's like they have everything done. Everything, you watch it and you're like, you want to know how did they do it? How did they get the land? How did they mitigate the land? How did they do the things that they did? You know, this around me is just raw land. What we did is we mulched the property that we bought, and to kind of get things started, we're going to leave the mulch on the property so that it can work itself into the ground, which will help generate better soil because, of course, we're here in Florida. A lot of people don't consider Florida a place where you can homestead or bug out or, you know, have an off-grid situation. There's a couple of folks out there that I follow, and I've watched their content. Florida is not the easiest place, I'll be honest. But I think, honestly, for you guys to take this journey with me and my family into this off-grid build, you'll get to see what it takes, how much work, how much money, what it's all going to come to make this thing an oasis. We haven't really set on a name. We've kind of come up with a few names. What was it? Fort Grey. What was the other one we came up with the other day?
Sanctuary Grey.
Sanctuary Grey. We haven't really come up with a name that. If you guys have some ideas, put those down in the comments. It'd be great to hear from you, my viewers, since you are going to be a big part of this. You know, what does it take to are we going to build the shed by hand, sheddominium? Are we going to build, because we're going to build a place to have hot showers or cold showers if you prefer. Believe it or not, we're going to have AC and heat. We are going to have internet connection. So if we choose it, it's going to be quite the interesting journey. We're going to have water to drink for irrigation, all in the middle of the woods. So when I say off-grid, I mean, maybe some people think having internet is not off-grid, but using satellite internet technically is off-grid. There is no sewer septic system. There is no poles, no power poles anywhere near this location. There is no outside of us putting in a well, and drawing from that, which I'm also going to introduce into the channel when that time comes. I'm even going to show you how we're going to put a gate in and how we're going to fence it. The wildlife out here is pretty interesting. Before we started filming, I couldn't get the camera on fast enough. Some hogs happened to, come across the land, and they were trudging through the woods. And my wife is the first one. She's like, "Do you hear that?" I'm focusing on this stuff. And I said, "Look," and then we see the things moving along. I get on the truck. And me being me, of course, I draw my weapon. But I wasn't going to go that route, just in case it was some crazy other situation, Florida skunk monsters and, Sasquatch, stuff like that. You just never know. But then it looked like a female hog who made her appearance. But by the time I got even my phone ready, she saw me, we caught eyes, and she hightailed it out of here. I wish I could have got that on film for you. And as you guys know, it's summer in Florida. It's like 100 degrees out here right now. Luckily, it's right at the afternoon, but there's bugs flying in my ear, in my face. I don't know if they show on camera or not, but I can feel them. Even though I have one of these things that everybody swears by that takes away bugs. Look at, you can even probably, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see the smoke coming off that. And I have it right here, 15 feet is what they say. It encompasses 15 feet. Take these everywhere you go. They're gonna solve all your mosquito needs. Not in Florida. Maybe other places. I have it right here. I was hoping that that would resolve some of the issue, but it's not. Hey folks, I don't know what Gray was talking about, but after running this thing for about 30 minutes, he's not getting bitten up anymore, and neither am I. I'm Gray's alter ego. But I've lived in Florida 90% of my life. I was born here. I'm a Florida boy, and it just comes with the territory. Summer, mosquitoes, we got horse flies, and yada, yada, yada. In this area, we have deer, we have fox, we have coyotes, we have the hogs, all the other little rascals and stuff like that, bobcats, unfortunately rattlesnakes. Yeah, luckily I got some snake away. We're going to attack a lot of these issues. So over the next year or two, probably for the rest of the channel, you're always going to see us, when we do a project on here, we're going to document that project and share it with all you amazing people out there. And I hope that you find value in that, so that if you decide that you want a off-grid or a homestead or a situation that kind of resembles what we're doing out here, you can draw ideas from what we're doing. Some of the ideas maybe you'll be familiar with. I don't know. But in general, it should help some of you folks who want to know about water catchment, who want to know, should I use a power station? Should I use a full-on solar? How much is that going to cost? When it comes to a shallow well with a pitcher pump, or do I want to use something that's based off my solar power that's going to run off a pump itself that you would have to use electricity for? How much solar does it take to run something like this? There's a lot of questions to be asked, and I have a lot of familiarity with the stuff, but now I have to apply that knowledge into what I call, what's it called, like practicality, or yeah, like in real life, you know what I mean? Like, I know what needs to be done, but doing it with my own two hands, and my wife, who has a broken toe at the moment, so she can't help me at the moment. But I also got some other friends and stuff like that are willing to pitch in. Everyone's excited. So to give you an idea what we're going to do here, outside of the shed, the porch, the patio, a place to shower and bathe, how we're going to store food out here, how we're going to garden out here, how would we raise any type of, let's say we start with chicken, something affordable but simple, but how do you have chickens in the middle of the woods to kind of feed yourself? At least eggs, or worst case scenario, fried chicken tastes pretty good sometimes, folks. But you kind of get the general idea with this whole situation. Now, the only thing I've noticed is no matter where I go, and if you guys have been following me for years, can you hear it? Yeah, airplanes. I don't know, maybe I have something like injected into my body. Let's put the, what is it called? The proverbial conspiratorial tinfoil hat on. I don't know, they just seem to be everywhere I go. Outside of that, it's pretty quiet here. There's some ambient noise from about, I think, 10, 15 miles that way. I don't know. There's, no matter what, unless you go to the top of a mountain, you're not going to get fully away. But being surrounded by 619 acres is as close as I can get. And they say this property is a diamond in the rough, because I'm surrounded by state land. And so a lot of you folks may be familiar with state land. No one else can buy anything anywhere around me. No one else can build. No one else can do anything. There's nothing for sale out here. I have two other folks that own property out here, and I call them my neighbors, even though we're large distances away. Outside of that, that's it. And having like-minded folks is always a plus. Just in case, you just never know. We're going to address things like, what happens if there's an emergency out in the middle of the woods? What do you need? What type of medical kits do you need? And put that to, application. Are you going to be trained and well enough to resolve those issues? Because when you're this far out in the woods, if bad things happen, you have to have some sort of knowledge. What if you get bit by a snake? What if a log crushes your leg? What about, because we're going to also add a shooting range way back in the far, is that the left-hand corner? Left corner of there, because we want to be able to practice with our firearms and become more proficient in the way we handle things. Also, maybe you want to play around with some bows and whatnot, and your archery skills, and touch on that. We also want to do primitive camping, so we want a spot for that. And there's just going to be a lot of things encompassing this whole journey of ours, and I'm really, really excited to bring you guys on that journey. I guess to kind of tie into this, I'm also kind of show you the type of tools that you might need out here, because you kind of you can use modern tools, but you also want to familiarize yourself with old school tools, just basic hammers, basic tools that you're going to need out here to live, to maintain, to practice things. You know what I mean? You're just going to need that knowledge and application of these tools. So I will show you some of the tools that I'm using in the building process, or just taking some of this mulch and utilizing some of the mulch. We used a forestry mulcher to do this. To me, it's the most affordable way to go in the middle of the woods, because a lot of folks will not. It took me a while to find the right guy to come out here with the forestry mulcher in the middle of the woods where there's no roads, to basically, I don't want to say clear, but mulch the property, because outside of that, for the last 100+ years, it's probably been nothing but saw palmettos and sand pines. So now we have our area. We've been mapping things out, drawing it, sketching it on pieces of paper, because before you ever do anything, when you buy that property and you have this blank slate, I'm telling you folks, the first thing you want to do is plan everything out. Old school, write it on paper, draw it out, walk your land, and kind of get a generalized idea, because once you put a shed, a Connex container for storage for your UTVs and tools and stuff like that, and other things that you build, your beds, your trails, your range, everything that you're going to build on this property, you want to have a good idea of where it's going to be. Do you plan to bring in a cow, a horse, a mule, chickens, goats? If so, where are you going to build a pen at? How are you going to protect them from the wildlife? All these things like that. And one thing that I noticed that a lot of people don't talk about is security. And folks, if you know me, I'm really, really huge into security. I already have game cameras out here. I have cellular cameras out here, 360 degrees. I have kind of little deterrents where if anybody was walking in the woods, I have solar lights out here that will just beam on them and like bink. And then as they run through the woods, more lights come on and really start thinking that they're in, The Hills Have Eyes, or what was it, Wrong Turn? Some of those movies where you think like, uh-oh, Florida man's out here. We need to skedaddle. Because security is going to be a big, huge thing, because you want to protect your property. Maybe you might not be here all the time. Maybe this is something you only come on the weekends or on vacations. Maybe you live so far from it, you're an hour or two away. Luckily, this place that we found, my wife found, I'll be honest with you, my wife found, through lots of praying. I give it to that, folks. She prayed the entire process, and God answered the prayers. And so it's close enough where we can get to it in a moment's notice. It's not easy getting here, but having the proper vehicle. So that being said, talking about the proper vehicle, and don't worry, I'm not going to ramble on too much, folks. I'm just leading into the other part of this kind of, I don't want to say this is the big reveal. This is our dream. This is everything we ever wanted. and we're going to make it an oasis. It's going to be a beautiful thing. We're going to be putting ponds, and it's going to be beautiful. Sorry, squirrel. But also, the vehicle that I've been working on for a year, I've got its pieces pieced out, is what they call an overlanding vehicle. Maybe you folks are familiar with overlanding. Some people might consider an overlanding vehicle a bug out vehicle. I think Dave Canterbury had did a video a while back. He has the same vehicle as I have, and as you can see on the screen, this is my my second love, if you want to call that. Something that I've been working on, because here's the biggest issue. I need a vehicle that can get anywhere, in anywhere, and out of anywhere. And this vehicle fits that bill. I did so much research before I bought this thing. And some of my videos, you see little clips and pieces of it. But turning it into basically a home on wheels, a system that works where if you had to leave somewhere and go somewhere else, or just disappear for a while, somewhere where most folks can't take their vehicles at, and you had to live in that vehicle, you don't want to live inside the cab of your vehicle. You want a nice environment. So we're going to be getting into rooftop tents. How do you travel with food, gas, tools, again, medical, all that stuff like that. So that's going to be another chapter on the channel. A lot of people call it overlanding. I call it a prepper vehicle. That's my perspective on it. Because again, I like to take pieces from other things, from the gardening world, from the prepping world, from the overlanding world, from the thru hikers. Because what I like about thru hiking is the type of gear, they're very into lightweight gear, which cost. So I've tried to look at ways, how do they hike hundreds of miles down the Appalachian Trail or the Florida Trail or wherever they're at? What type of gear do they use? Water filtration, food, packs and stuff like that. So I take a lot of little different components and encompass it into my life, and then try to share that with you, my viewers. So folks, I hope you're as excited as we are on this journey. God, praise the Lord that He has given us this opportunity to turn this piece of land into our dream. And again, I'm just extremely excited to share this with all of you, and I hope that hopefully that you'll enjoy all the content that will kind of evolve from this side of the channel. And I think it goes hand in hand with prepping. A lot of preppers out there, their long-term goals is to get into homesteading, is to have a bug out location, is to have an off-grid situation, or something in the middle, something that encompasses that realm of things. And I think this is our next chapter, because prepping for us is a lifestyle. We've been doing it for long periods of time. You guys have followed us on that journey, and that's not going to stop. And of course, gear reviews. I like to throw it out there, gear reviews. Some people hate my gear reviews, but I think that was a big horsefly. Whoa, did you see that thing? Holy cow, that is huge. Florida, we don't have little bugs. We have prehistoric bugs that will pick you up and take you away into the wild blue yonder. Folks, it's getting dark. We still have some work to do. I'm already cutting myself and sweating my tears of joy. We'll call it that. Sweating. It's hot. Come wintertime, we're going to do a lot of primitive camping. We're going to do some overnights. We're even going to do some challenges. Take your get-home bag, your bug-out bag or whatever, and go out in the woods, because we're going to leave some parts of this property rural. We're surrounded by 619 acres. That's pretty rural. And just camp and survive for 3-4 days, however much time I can take off work, to be honest with you. And show you that process. How do you utilize the tools that you've built in these bags in a real world situation? A lot of people say, you're not going to just go out in the woods and live and survive. I agree. You don't want to do that. But if you had to do that, can you? A lot of people probably think they can, but until you apply the skills, the gear, and everything along the lines, you will learn a lot. Because just imagine living out here, which our goal, honestly, is to make that a reality, because we don't want to be around people. We enjoy just ourselves, our family, and our friends, and away from the city, away from the suburbs, away from everything, because it's just nature. You know what I mean? blood pressure goes down, that inner peace just exudes itself. It's a beautiful thing, folks. And yeah, I don't know how to express it anymore. I probably rambled on way too long, and people have probably clicked off because that's what they do. But for you folks that stayed the entire time and watched this entire video from start to finish, watched every commercial, liked, made sure that you left a comment and all that stuff like that, I really, really, really appreciate you folks, especially you folks that have been here since day one and watched this evolution of GreyMan. Like I said, this is going to be the Grey Homestead, the Grey something. We're going to come up with something. Maybe you guys will help us along the way, give us some ideas, and maybe we'll take some of that. Maybe one of you lucky folks out there in the comment section will come up with a name that just makes sense to what we've done here. But that being said, folks, I do want to wrap this up. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video in its entirety. And folks, remember, you are not alone. This is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll catch you guys in a rebound. God bless all you amazing people out there. Thanks so much for all your patience, all your time, and everything that you've done for me and my family through the channel, through the comments, through everything. Thank you. This is GreyMan, and I'm out.